afternoon, good evening. Hello, hello, hello.
Hi.
Hello there.
And welcome to our show. I forgot the name of the show.
Yeah, that's
Around the
interesting.
table,
I like
around the
that.
table. I have been out in the sun today and I had a cheeky shandy and I had about 4 sips and just left it on the side. It was yuck. It was too much sugar. Couldn't have it. And so I think that sugar's gone to my head. I think that's my excuse and that's what I'm
I
sticking
thought you
to.
were going to say. I thought you were going
Yeah,
to say. Then you turn to the bottle and just
yeah.
Well,
brilliant.
as you can see, we've got some wonderful guests here tonight for my show, which has come back again. We have Neil Bryan here. Good evening, Neil.
Good evening. Hello, everyone. How are you all?
We have Rachel Galbreath here.
Hello. Hello, hello
Um,
again.
and
Hi.
we have the lovely Helen Rogerson. Rogerson, I should say. Yeah. Good evening.
Hello, hi everyone.
Yeah. And if you remember, for those who were VIPs, we had Helen on the other day with her psychic art, and she's now sent me all the images which will be placed in the VIP page. So the topic tonight is all about spiritual ego and death, a cross between spirituality and psychology. So I think this is going to be an evening. So if you've got any questions, by all means, let us know. There's not readings here, but that's tomorrow night. So it's just some questions and answers and our viewpoints and what we think about this. But before we do anything else, I best say hello to some of these lovely viewers who are on. Don't you agree, guys?
Oh, yes.
Absolutely. So we can see
Hi,
we've got,
Millie.
I believe it's her birthday, Rachel.
Happy birthday,
Happy
Millie.
birthday.
Yeah,
Hello.
36 again, apparently. No.
Another trip around the sun.
Absolutely. And we have our lovely Terry who's here as well.
Hi,
Hello, Terry.
Terry.
How are you?
Thank you for all your work, Terry.
Oh,
Hi, Claire.
Yeah, I'll let you guys
Again.
carry
Hi.
on. Get on with me doing all of it. I'll be here all night.
Allison. Hard worker, the worker bee.
That's a
Thank
great
you,
photo,
Allison.
Alison.
Hi, Sally.
Hello, Sally.
You right there, Helen? You're gone very quiet.
I'm talking.
She's reading. She's reading.
Fair enough.
I need friends. I think I need glasses.
I've been
Hi,
saying that for
Linda.
months.
Oh, hi everyone. I got that. Who's saying that? Linda.
Yeah.
Uh,
Hello, Linda.
we've got Mary Dixie who's in the house as well.
Good
Hello,
evening,
Mary.
Mary.
Christine Marie is here.
Hi, Christine. Good to see you again.
We've got our Wendy who's here.
Wendy. Love the tulip.
Who else have we got
Oh,
on
that is nice.
Facebook?
Wow.
We've got Carolyn, Rebecca, Pamela, Cindy, Nicole, Lorraine, and Marie, who's also from Facebook. As you may know, guys, some of the Facebook comments are not being sent to us. We don't understand why this is the case, but Rachel and I have our theories, but we can't display or discuss while we're live in case
Yeah.
we're blocked. But wink, wink, we know what's going on.
Yeah.
Anyway, and we've got Mary, who's on Facebook, along with Kerry and Sharon, who's come here tonight. So,
Hey all.
save me waffling on. I'm going to pick on Neil straight away. Neil, can you tell us who you are and what you do, and get everybody a bit of an insight into you?
To be honest, Richard, I think I dialed the wrong number and I've dialed into this weird thing here. I don't know what this is. I'm sorry.
Are you
I
calling
didn't know.
Rachel weird?
No, not at all. Not at all. No.
Thanks, so.
My name's Neil. Hello, everybody. I'm the host of a podcast and a sort of bloggy writing space called Narsehole, the Lonely Monster, which is centered around people overcoming abusive relationships, really. And I've been doing that for the last 3 years since I left the military, where I served for 20-something years as a trauma medic. And and I bumped into Richard accidentally and invited me to come on this show, which I'm quite privileged and honoured to be a part of. So hello. if you have any weird questions, not weird, but any question is a good question about narcissism, anything like that. While we're here, chuck it in, and that's what I do best, really. But yeah, hello.
And Helen, can you give us a bit of brief about you, please?
Hi, yeah. So I have a website called Sacred Offering Art, and on that I make my own. Part of it, I have a shop where I sell my own. I infuse my own oils and make my own towels. Those very healing things for the skin and the muscles and the joints. And I also sell spicy towels, just wellness products. And also I do channeled artwork, which I had such a wonderful time with you all the other night. It was an honor to do it, and I really enjoyed it. So yeah, I can channel fortune specifically for people, but it's a bit different from psychic art, where people psychic artists will channel people who've passed over. So it's a bit different. A lot of my things are more nature based and more beings from other worlds, and then messages attached to that. So that's what I do.
Good. And last and not least, I should say. Don't you give me that look. Don't you give me that look.
Oh, how do you cope, Rachel? I don't know.
It's more like the
I
other way
don't know.
round.
I don't
It really
know.
is. I have to, when the show finishes, I get an ear bashing for about an hour, non-stop, Neil.
No.
Really.
Well,
The cheek of it.
Debrief. That's called a debrief.
No, I don't do that. Come on now.
I've got
Sounds
verbal.
it sounds like it's a valid thing to do. Though.
Oh, cheeky.
Thank you.
It's
You've
been
given me
objective,
permission. See, I've got permission now, Richard. I've
Go
got
for
permission.
it. Go for it.
Who am I? I don't know who I am.
Still figuring it out. Aren't we all?
So
on,
what would you like me to say, Richard?
Okay, I do it. My name is Rachel G. Palmistry. You can find me on social media. Just type in Rachel G. Palmistry and you'll find me everywhere. I'm a palmist, and I also do tarot cards, and I'm there to help and support people who need guidance. Reach out, I'll be there. Is that what you usually say?
Reach out.
That's what you say, reach out.
I'll tell you what, though,
No,
as well. I'll
usually-
tell you another string to your bow, Rachel. You do a damn good impression of Richard.
See there? See there?
Wow.
Yeah. Usually he sings the Jackson 5, I'll be there. Okay? So it's in my ear when I do that. So.
Amazing.
Alison is saying, no, Rachel, you said that about moving your lips. There we go.
I know. It's a new talent. New talent.
Right, so we crack on with the show. Neil, you and Helen, I believe, came up with the idea of the title of the show.
Helen, yeah.
Yeah, which
I was PA. I typed it in.
Because I don't have Facebook.
Just so we're clear on that.
So what happened, as Neil said earlier on, I was at an holistic fair, and you might have actually seen it. Well, I walked around and bumped into Helen, and then Neil and I started having a chin wag, and I was infused, and I thought, I really like the idea of what he was saying.
Oh, Richard, and we let you go.
He wouldn't know, because I kept saying, I've got to go, I've got to go. And so I asked Neil to come. I said, look, make it your own show, sort of thing. What would you like to discuss? So the topic was about spiritual ego and death, a cross between spirituality and psychology. So Neil, over to you.
Yes, hi, thanks. Thank you. I made some notes because there's quite a lot to digest, actually. The letting go of the ego is the fundamental thing I thought we could talk about. And really what the rest of my fellow panel members, if you like, what their experiences of it are or is, or ongoing, whichever way it is, and to really sort of hash out how others can benefit from that knowledge as well, because I think part of the work I do dealing with sort of narcissism and helping people overcome that sort of heinous abuses is I teach them actually to develop a healthy ego and to understand their own power, the power of self, in a healthy way and balanced way, with empathy first, with objective reasoning and logic afterwards. But a lot of the naysayers and a lot of the bad people out there, they would take a lower vibrational sort of means and ways through it and just be sufferance of this ego. And really, I don't think anyone can move transitionally through anything like, toward transcendence, if you like, whichever way you want to look at it, without letting go of that ego. So really, I mean, how indeed? And people listening in and watching, if you want to drop a comment, how you've overcome it or intend to, or what you think. Is it a thing we need to overcome?
And they go quiet.
I might be a bit much for some people. That's the problem. Poor Helen has to live with me, by the way, just so you know. Look at that. She's had enough today. Tell me. It's just like, oh no, not another crazy question. No, but it's I think it's important. It's an important part of a bigger conversation on the journey of spirituality, if you like, as I see it. That is, that it's genuinely. I believe it's something we have to release and relinquish and let go of. What do you think, Rachel? Put you on the spot.
Absolutely. No, I'm sitting over here and my wheels are already starting to spin.
Oh, good. Good.
A little creaky, but they're still.
Spin them up. Is it coal powered? Coal powered.
But no, there has to be a death of ego. There has to be, and it's very, very few people. I think. I mean, we could dive down into many a rabbit hole and discuss what's going on with society at this juncture, we'll say. But there are many different theories about what's going on. But in what I do, in the field that I do, I try it. You can only be objective. You really have to embrace the phenomenon and the phenomena of things. Oh, don't you do it, Richard. Don't do it. Don't do it.
And he drew me in like that. You do one chord of that and it draws right in. It's insane.
Phenomenal.
I'll be serious. I'll be
You'll
serious.
never get the show finished.
Yeah. But I think that you really do have to embrace that, and you just have to let it go and think. And the thing with the type of palmistry that I do is that I classify it into 4 different elements instead of 6. Okay, and therefore each element represents who you are in this current life. You understand? And once you understand that is kind of the shoe that was put on you for this particular life, for your soul and your journey, then you can work within those parameters. And a lot of it, what people don't understand are boundaries, and also how you have to embrace who you are, because you're only here to be you. And who you want to be, who you should be.
Yeah.
And to surround yourself with those people who aren't the takers, who aren't going to just pull nutrients if you are an earth hand out of you. If you're a water hand, you don't need to surround yourself with people who are going to consistently put water in your boat or pour more water on you to make you drown and go underneath all of those emotions. Or if you are an air hand, you don't need to be around those people who will just, air hands, they're the ones who have that sharp anger that will just like lash out, right? So you don't really know which way is that wind going to blow. That is not a true friendship, and that is where it shows your ego when you have to respond to something like that. So, and also with fire needs to be fed. It has to be fed. And in order, or else it burns out. So it's up to us to figure out how to get off of the hamster wheel.
Yeah, quite.
And
yeah.
The only way to get off of the hamster wheel is to let go of ego.
But I want to make a point that Tara Angels has just said, is that we can't get, I don't believe we can't get rid of the ego. And I think we do need it.
I agree. It's the negative ego that's the
Yeah,
consequential one, though, that's
absolutely.
outwardly for everybody else, that's
Yeah.
presidents and all that
Right.
malarkey. But
And exactly
It,
what Millie B has just said as well. I think if
yeah,
ego is used in a good way, such as helping to boost
yeah,
self-confidence,
exactly.
then
right.
that's okay. But if we used it in a bad way, where you look down on people or judge, it's not good at all.
Right. It's like the boundaries that I often
Yeah.
tell people that they have to make in their life. They are responsible for kind of protecting and defending those boundaries if they want certain things to be prohibited from their life. If they want certain things to stop, it's their responsibility, but it's not anybody else's job to protect those boundaries. It's your job to identify those boundaries. So it is a very good way to identify and sit back and see, and that you can have good feelings about yourself, no matter what nurturing you may have had against your true nature.
That's a very good point. So, go on, Helen.
I was just going to say that it's so freeing. There's
Mm-hmm.
freedom in that when you really understand that.
Mm-hmm.
And there's something around that I've really felt lately around that sort of interdependence, the connection. I think when people are in that space, they feel so alone.
Mm-hmm.
But when you really realise like that, connection to spirit, connection to people that support you, you throw out that line and you're able to that things shift and change so much.
Hmm. How would that? So, I mean, with regards, so Millie B's comment there, I think if ego is used in a good way, such as helping to boost self-confidence, that's okay. But if it's used in a bad way, where you look down on people or judge, it's not good at all. Yeah, I mean that's a great statement, because there definitely is healthy ego, but the problem is as such that I think we kind of even need to detach from that, whilst acknowledging its presence and acknowledging it in a different sense. So healthy ego could present as a woman going online and flaunting her body on Instagram and raising her self-confidence, but unnarcissistically, should we say. So then that's a healthy ego, but it's still only there to please self. So ego is ego, but there is a healthy component to it. And I think that needs to be acknowledged. And it's because if the healthy components, I think anyway, from the bits and bobs I've seen online, if people even start, it's a really difficult, like a minefield to walk on. It can easily parlay into the negative side of ego, So it's kind of, yeah. I believe there should be healthy balance with both as in ego construct and as in healthy ego and negative ego.
I would say, yeah,
But,
I think that.
yeah, there is that middle point, absolutely. But then it's interesting in terms of sort of, has anyone had any experience? A lot of research I'm doing at the moment is also regarding releasing ego and spiritual narcissism, of all things. Has anybody ever experienced that? Is that
Let me ask you a question, if I may, Neil.
Please.
What do you think about rainbow body?
About
The
what?
Tibetan
Sorry,
rainbow body.
I've not heard of that.
You've not heard of that? The Tibetan
No.
rainbow body. Some of the monks, when they feel it is their time to go, and they really have obviously released their ego, and they have released their charges, and they have fulfilled who they are to be, and it's been determined, they will go into rainbow body, which means that they will be released into the light and the energy that they originally are once ego is shed, and everything in the physicality then will also be shed. And that is where they willingly kind of have that end of life kind of situation where it is nurtured. And then they are revered, and it's very rare that it happens. But I really wanted to ask you about rainbow body, because that is the ultimate ultimate in Tibetan ideology of getting rid of ego, of shedding ego, is to return to rainbow body.
That's that's translated, isn't it, into sort of some Western cultural bits as transcendence, and enlightenment.
Right.
And so that rainbow body is just that, isn't it?
Well, you die in this.
Sadly.
Yes, which is a little bit different than
I'm quite,
enlightenment. Yeah.
just an FYI, what I should have said in the introduction is I'm quite not a skeptic as such. I'm more bordering on the case of, I'm more of an ambivalent, casual observer, and like to see sort of some things aren't tangible. I know that in life and in spirituality, clearly. But I've got that sort of brain that wants to see the objectivity of something or the logic, or coupled with some empathy, So it's like it's an interesting mix. So hearing different, different pathways, like the Tibetan monks, for example, it's fascinating.
So I call myself an open-minded skeptic.
Exactly. That's probably that's a really good way to view that. Yeah.
Because you can have your mind open to what people have to say, because you can learn from that as well. Yeah. And you can still have judgment, and you should question everything that is given to you, because there is nothing factual until we actually die ourselves, and then we find the answers. At the moment, until we know the facts, as you know, if it's a court case, you can't walk in there as, well, he said that. Well, have you got the facts? You can't win, so you need to have them. Hence why I call myself an open-minded skeptic.
An open-minded skeptic.
Yeah.
I like that. Can I steal that? Is that
it is copyrighted by me, but you can pay royalties if you want.
Okay, cool. No worries.
Just gonna say that. I had your back there, Richard. I was gonna say that.
So Diane is saying that ego is part of the human makeup. You can't get rid of it, but you can learn from it and change it. But it's other people's egos that is often the problem within life. What do you think on those comments, Helen?
Listening to what Rachel was saying about, I've been listening to a lot of Buddhist meditation books and their ways, and that similar thing of most people can't will have ego. Like I think someone said in another comment about that kind of the human thing in our makeup. I think there's the kind of they believe that on the Buddhist front that if you let that, you can work towards that if you have meditate, have a serious practice, work towards that. But they're also mindful, it's very much not everyone will. You can not necessarily be enlightened, but then be free of a lot of negative influences and energies in your life. And it's like, where do you want to go? It's like your choice. So that that sort of interests me. But as far as what they've said below, I think you can't. A bit like with Rachel, is taking responsibility for you and your actions. And I look at I learned a lot from that kind of people being in the negative loop. There's people in the world that are very much in a negative loop, or called drama loop. And I think that's what they're talking about a bit here. It's like putting the healthy boundaries, like Rachel was saying, around yourself, so that you are not entering those loops. And it's a choice and how you do that. And I've definitely, through my life, been in that and had to learn the hard way how to come back.
So how do you think you would deal with? Sorry, Helen. What would you deal then with, and all of you actually, with someone who is negative, who has the ego big? And we know a lot of mediums out there. I'm not saying all, but there's a lot of mediums that I know of. The ego is so big. They demand these ridiculous amounts of money. In my view, I think a lot of them lie, in my view. I think a lot of them are there for the money, only. They don't care about the public. As a prime example, if I may, there is a lot of these theatre-styled mediums asking for people to go and spend £25 in the theatre, which is filled up with 1,000 odd people. And then when the lockdown came along, you didn't see them. They never came on air. They never went live to say, hi, we're here to support you. If you need to come and talk to us. They disappeared. Now we're allowed out to play again. They're back on the scene saying, we want you to spend your money on me again. I'm doing another theatre tour. And for me, that's ego. That's, look at me, I'm bigger than anybody else. I don't need to support you. You're going to support me because I don't care about you. That's how it came across for me.
Sure.
So how would you deal with someone like that? Do you just send out this positive thought to them and say to spirit, for example, or to the universe, whatever you want to believe in, let's help that person? How would you deal with that ego and negativity from someone?
Who goes first?
Go on, Neil.
Me. I'll, there's a well-known tactic when dealing with the sort of the negative people in life. Let's say narcissists, right? If I was sat in the mastermind chair, that would be my specialist subject. So let's just say in dealing with a narcissist, because that's generally what you just described, that ego, the uncaring, low empathy, only cares when they're making bank, etc., etc. So there's a well-known tactic called the grey rock method. So if you consider a grey rock stuck in a river, a torrential river, and what does it do? Well, it just sits there, doesn't it? Just lets the torrent rush over it. Unlike a stick, if you put a stick in the same river, it's going to be dragged along on the torrent. Okay, so analogies. The grey rock is what you have to become, and what we generally are when we're, like Terry Louise there saying, struggling with other people's egos sometimes, and when it's coming from greed or selfishness. This is one of the ways you can combat that, actually. So you have to become the rock rather than the stick. So the torrent is their emotions. So what makes them egotistical in the first place, what makes them greedy, what makes them selfish. And the stick is generally a lot of people in life is just get moved along by their emotions, queuing up to pay for the tickets for the faux mediums or the likes. So this grey rock thing is called the grey rock because of the rock in the river. But in essence, it teaches the person that's operating from the grey rock method space a lot about their own emotional intelligence as well as the person they're dealing with. So one of the things you have to understand, and hopefully everyone listening in here does, is that we can't control other people's emotions. We can't control how they are, what they want to be, who they think, how they think. That's not what humanity is about, and free speech and all the likes of stuff. But what we can control is our own emotions, and that grey rock method allows that. But it's essentially bouncing all the psychological turmoil and emotional angst, which is what ego is a construct of. It's a defense mechanism as I see it. And it passes all that emotional angst back into the psyche where it belongs, into the person that's stuck there. And it's simply asking them, if they present an emotional issue, you would sort of retort back, simply ask them what they think. And that would combat it. In terms of some faux medium actually being on a stage, blagging people out of money, not giving any love back when there's been mutual support, particularly with the COVID stuff, I think they should be shown for the fakes that they are. One of the things they didn't all lament about was how they, being such powerful mediums, how none of them really saw COVID come in. So, it's kind of like 6 to 2 threes, if you look at it that way as well. But I don't know, in that particular example, Richard, I would just fob them off, just ignore them. And look, Terry Louise, I think I attract narcissists. I had to remove several over the years from my life. It's called codependency, Terry. Read my book. That'll get you there.
that was a good plug, Dave.
But it is. You'll stop it. You'll stop it. You're here. I'm assuming you're here because you've got empathy. So it'll. There you go. Someone, Wendy.
Codependent.
Oh. And my partner.
I know, Terry. I'm with you, Terry.
Oh. And Wendy there, highly recommend the grey rock method. Yeah, it does work. I mean, it can save your absolute psyche, to be completely honest. It's really, I don't ever stop talking about it. But that's in that one example that many of the methods of dealing with diabolous people. Ladies, what about yourselves? How would you manage that?
Oh, you don't want to ask me.
which is big.
But I just did. I literally just
Does it
did.
involve a sword and a shield? Rachel.
Oh, yes, I'm a shield maiden. Yes, just to get my Viking on. That's
Oh,
right.
thanks, thanks, Millie.
No,
There's
no,
more
no,
to come.
no,
More to come.
no.
Sorry.
No, no, no,
Yeah.
no, no. I have seen both sides of that coin, so to speak. Working in spiritualist shops, I have heard supposed very well revered and respected mediums, that are known, and they will say certain things about clients behind closed doors, and I will hear it. And so when they go out and they're in the public, there's somebody completely different. So I see both sides of that mirror, so to speak, right?
Yeah.
And it's very frustrating. And so what I do is, in my own way, I send out healing thoughts to the people that end up wanting to go and see them. And whether or not that medium takes credit for it, I don't care. But if I know that somebody is seeing somebody like that, I want the best for that person. So that's how I deal with it.
And in that, and in that energetic space, you're completely giving,
Mm-hmm.
and all that faux thing is just taking completely. Like it's only one-way traffic when they're in that space.
Yeah.
You know, in that.
So I will just
Good for you. That's amazing.
The client, whoever's going to see them, and but yeah, it's that there are some really, I will just say, malevolent kind of people out there that take advantage of situations and people who have had a lot of trauma in their lives. And it's very sad. It's very sad. And Richard and I have actually had many a discussion about it. And I actually personally see a lot of people that have complex PTSD, and also ex-combat vets, special ops, things like that. And I also happen to have some clients who are therapists. Yes, I said it, because every therapist has a therapist.
Yeah.
And sometimes
a
therapist, and sometimes a therapist doesn't want to go to a westernized therapist because of their own personal beliefs and how they feel.
Right,
so I will end up seeing them. I'll go to their friendly palm reader who's very easternized, you know? But so that's how I handle people like that. I just wish the best for the client.
There was Rachel, that was beautiful. I love the fact that you take actually what I would call the Sun and Bonham moment, which is the higher good, the greater good, you know, just rising completely above it.
Yeah.
And just put in, I don't quite understand it, but like that skeptical believer, you know, putting the good energy out there. I know you're doing it, you know, because your intention is pure.
No, I 100% do. And so, because somebody has to. My creed, my credence is that I treat others the way I would want to be treated. And I've done that my entire life. And do I know what it feels like to be stepped on? 100%. Because there are a lot of people out there that are, they're only out there for themselves. That's it. They have that drive. They have that ego that you mentioned, Neil.
Yeah.
They have that narcissistic personality. It's like, it's me now. I have to take care of me. And they just let all of what they consider superfluous, which are really just tangents off of their personal issues that they should be dealing with, they just are like, nope. It's just all about me.
Their supply. That is, yeah. So Helen, before you speak, just want to say, Richard, as well. There's been some awesome comments. Sorry, I didn't actually acknowledge some of them, but there's been some great comments in the last 3 or 4. Interesting stuff. Helen.
No, but it's interesting. Rachel mentioned the therapy, because hearing you both talk just reminded me of how that, you know, like obviously you get this negative and narcissism in any field, not just spiritual, and you know, and then I in one of my other lives, I was a child therapist. So, and you know, wow, you know, when I was training, I did that, and also I did massage, and you know, all these areas where there's vulnerable on whatever level seem to attract safe and control and that, and yeah, I remember kind of training thinking, oh my God, I'm not safe doing this. And it was worrying, really. And yeah, so that was my thought. It's everywhere where there's vulnerability and open heart, you know, which is the vulnerable. Open your heart, whatever way, and where
You're breaking up.
Yeah.
For a lot. Me.
Yeah, slightly breaking up. Yeah. It's all right.
Hear me?
Yeah, that's clear. A little bit clearer. That's Terry Louise has just had a penny drop moment. Loving this discussion. Oh, thanks, Terry. What was your penny drop? Are you allowed to tell us?
Yeah.
Diane Burson, the ego always needs to be fed. It's how we go about that is the important thing. We all want to be liked or loved. Yeah, no, that's true. I think I would put a different optic on that, though, Diane. I'd say that we all deserve to be loved and liked. And the want is where we often trip up, to be fair, is because we want it too much, and then we go into a codependent space. And within that codependent space is when we then can often attract literally the wrong sort. That's when the narcissist, for example, will get their hooks into you, because a lot of it stems from our own, let's call it, unknown childhood traumas. You know, not enough love, too much love, whichever way you look at it. And that carries forward into our adult life, our teens, if you like, then into adult life, making our decisions and cementing that moralistic fiber in our brain. And then if that happens to be that you're in a codependent space at that point, you'll only ever want desperately to be loved, never realizing that actually you fundamentally deserve to be loved, you know, and you are loved, and for self. And that's what's lacking in a lot of these things where we want to be liked or loved, is that actually it's all within us. We can love and like ourselves just as much as any douchebag that's out there, you know. But yes, the ego does always need to be fed. Quite right. And in a healthy way, that's a good thing. In a negative way, it's so bad. So bad. Anyway, so bad. So bad. It's an interesting topic all round, isn't it? Because it's like I can see, you know, thinking, oh God, you know, and I'm going through as we're talking and listening to you both and Richard and reading the comments. I'm sat there thinking, oh, I do have a slight ego. You know, I've got a massive following online, so there's a slight egotistical thing with that. But then it's more about the fundamental need to eradicate narcissism is what the drive is from it. Yeah. So yeah, sorry, I'm rabbiting on. Just chime in, ladies. Chime in.
I was just saying, can you hear me all right?
Yes, clear.
Yes.
I was just when you were talking about what you wanted to discuss and everything, I was like, it's all about how can we grow in a healthy way, that growth, that inner growth, and how can we do that?
It's all about what? Sorry.
Yeah, you broke up.
Inner growth, wasn't it? You said.
Can you hear me? It just, you know, you were talking about, it's a bit like a rebirth when you're able to look within and look at what needs to leave, or whatever, you know, it needs to be let go of. And so it's like, how can we grow in a healthy way? How can we take this knowledge? You know, it could be very much in the mind and like, okay, yeah, I know what I need to do, but how do I actually, like, in every cell of my body and every my whole being, how do I move forward? How can I take what I know and, you know, take it and grow in a healthy way?
So how can you build on the experiences, but in a healthy way? Even if the experiences are negative.
Yeah.
Palmistry. Palmistry.
Palmistry. I don't even
Here comes the plug.
Palmistry. I mean, there are. No, you're right. You're absolutely right. There are many, many avenues, aren't there? There's many ways of self-growth and actualization and realization. One of them should be Rachel. You can provide information to any given person reading their palm, right?
Yes.
You just met
Well,
you.
that's what I do.
Yeah.
Is I analyze. It's more of a socio-analytical approach to the way that I actually read somebody's palm. It's the same way that Alexander the Great used, the same method. And you can look this up. You might find this interesting. It is real history here, folks, that Alexander the Great had his soldiers' palms read before he would launch and go into a battle to see what their energy was like and where they would fit in best, if they were going to fight, if they were going to flee, or if they were going to freeze, based on their hand shape.
And that boy was a winner, wasn't he? Alexander the Great. He didn't mess around, did he?
Yeah, he didn't mess around. So that is the same technique that I use. So it's that's what I mean. You can tell by the appearance of somebody's hand, the length of their fingers, especially the fingers, what their everybody's going.
Can people post pictures of their hands?
Yeah, that's what they do. Neil, you have water hands, by the way. But anyway, with the earth palm, you have water fingers with the earth palm. Neil does. Neil does. You have water fingers with an earth palm.
Scorpio.
Yeah, okay. That has no bearing on the hand.
Stop trying to get a free reading and get on with the show. Come on.
I thought I did a spiritual thing. I thought I made a connection.
That's the whole connection, because each finger stands for the different attributes of different gods and goddesses.
Sure.
So you can tell somebody how, what their energy is doing, and compare, based on what has happened to them. There's a lot of nature versus nurture. And when I say about the hand shape, the overall hand shape and those elements, that's what I'm talking about. When I said that earth is soil and it provides nutrients to seeds and plants, it's consistently giving to others, but can never fully give to itself unless somebody else sees the need.
This is interesting, and I know Helen is desperate to speak, because that is literally right up her alley. Honestly, the things she can do with herbal medicine and things like that, and turn out, salves. I'm not just plugging, by the way. It's actually prolifically proven. So that connection with nature, and it's one of the intelligences. There's 8 intelligences: as linguistic, mathematical, etc., and then naturistly. Oh, so if you have traumas in childhood, does this play a big part in relationships in your adult life? Yes, entirely. Entirely. I'll give you a very, very, very brief rundown, really, and it's a little bit like this. So between the ages of roughly 4 to 9, we're developing our emotional regulation, and that's encompassing things like a moral compass, understanding just simple right from wrong, learning to self-soothe or being able to self-soothe, and understanding other sort of quite social cues from people that you're stressing them or upsetting them, or they're upset, or whichever. And if we don't have that nurtured in the right way as a child from either one of our parents, it can really tip the scales of those later decisions we make in life. Because in the example of a narcissist, I'll give you a very quick analogy with that. If you've got we've got time, Richard, are we on a clock? Or
no, you carry on. I'll
Okay,
fall
right,
asleep in a minute, but carry on.
It's so narcissistic, Richard.
I know.
I'm joking.
You're fine.
So yeah, if you got a child, say a 4-year-old child in the candy shop, they've got one parent on one side, say a mother, who's a narcissist, and on the other side is a father who's a codependent. So both the father and the child are kind of abused by the narcissistic mother, right? Now let's say that child then wants a candy bar. So they say, "Can I have a candy bar?" And the narcissistic mum says something mean or horrible and says, "No, you can't. You'll get fat and blah, 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 blah. You're already picking up a few pounds or whatnot." And then the kid starts to cry because they're a toddler and they're a child and they want the candy bar. So at a certain point, the narcissistic mum in that simplistic analogy would lose their tail. You know, they'll start to get a bit riled. And they may turn to the codependent father and just say, "You sort this out, make this go away, this is embarrassing," you know, that sort of abrasive language, if you like. And then the codependent dad just buys the chocolate bar. So what does the kid learn? Every time I cry, every time I'm upset, no matter what's going on, I get what I want. And the flip side of that coin is the codependent. So that's the narcissist. Roughly, you know, there's loads of fundamental other traumatic stuff that happens to the kid, but that's how a narcissist would be made in a pure sense, in a rough sense rather. And on the other side of that, then the codependent would become, because so I was very codependent growing up, and I realised that quite late on. Helen owns that as well in her own life. Codependency I'm talking about, yes, and it comes generally from a place of so parental love, which is there but not balanced. So it's maybe, it sounds really selfish and quite egotistical, but it just wasn't enough in terms of it was less a balance. Does that make sense? Now, doesn't get enough love or isn't heard, listened to, acknowledged. There might be a favourite child, you know, and there might be a golden child at play from your parents or whatnot. So in terms of the codependent, Millie, to roughly answer your question then, very sorry, waffling on, but in terms of answering it, if you were brought up in a codependent space, codependent environment where you weren't heard, listened to, nurtured, balanced, learned to self-soothe and all that good stuff as a child should learn, as you form relationships when you're older, that's the basis of them. That's the want and need. So whenever your emotional cortexes, if you like, are firing and firing off and telling you, you know, which way to go in love and life and things like that. If you're codependent, it's done from a traumatized space. If you're narcissistic, it's done from a purely selfish yet equally traumatized space. So it's really difficult. It's a really fine line. It's a really fine line. But yeah, going back to your last question there, definitely. If you were codependent and you had any sort of trauma is known or unknown, it's not always obvious. It's not somebody smacking a kid about. It's, you know, it could be prodding and poking, quiet bullying, you know, not loved enough, not given enough nurturing. That's still traumatic to a child, however way you look at it. And yes, it does form our relational decisions in our futures, sadly. New book coming out by Christmas. It's all in there. Sorry.
So
yeah,
I mean, you shouldn't have sent me a picture so then I could put it on screen for you.
Me?
Yeah.
Of what?
Of your book.
Your book.
Oh yeah, just a photo of a book. No, yeah. It's not. It's not quite published yet. But I mean, if any of this is resonating with anyone out there, I would always say, because of the world I come from and the person I am, I always look at things like quite objectively, sometimes stone coldly as well, to a degree. And that, yeah, no, with honesty, that's it. Honesty. You don't have to defend truth, right? That's it. You don't have to defend honesty. If you're honest and, you know, nice with it, you don't have to defend it. That said, you know, there's an equally important part in a community of healing, if you like, from these sort of things, for the Rachels and for the Helens and for the Richards and yourselves as well, communicatively, and to each other. And I do have a Quora space, which is loads of answers. If any of it resonates and you want to learn more about yourself, just bounce on there or drop a line or an email, whatnot. You know, I will answer it. Sorry, I just saw a question. Sorry. I went into question answering mode. Sorry, girls. So I read it out and then you take it. It's that need for validation outside ourselves that's dangerous. We want people to like us and accept us. So we find ourselves sometimes conforming to the expectations and values of others. Leslie Perkins.
I was
I mean, that's
a people pleaser. It was like to my detriment. I was the only one who who didn't do well from it. So really, that definitely resonates. I get that. Sure.
yeah.
Well, as far as this goes, I only have one thing going through my head. I want to see Helen's thumb.
Yes, Helen, get your thumb out
Helen.
on the camera, sweetie.
No, just go like that.
Back up,
Just
back
go
up.
like that. There you go.
Like that.
Oh yeah, you have a very mid-set thumb, which means that there is a part of you that feels validated by like the acceptance of others. So there you go. And that's Venus, and all of this is social interaction. So the way to get around that would be seen in the shape of the more diminutive. So how to break out of your comfort zone and the codependency and seeking a validation of others. So yeah.
That's a journey with that, right? Wow.
Really?
I have. I've been on such a journey. So yeah, I've learned a lot. I'm sure I have a lot.
I mean, you have a lot of really great ideas because it's a mid-set thumb. So you have a lot of really great ideas, but you will be very quiet about them and not actually push them out into the light, like, the spotlight, because of fear of not having that acceptance. And that's how a lot of people are. And I got to tell you again and again and again, you're only here to be you. Period. That's it.
Yeah.
That's it.
Shall I change the title of the show and say Spiritual Ego, Death and Palmistry?
Yeah.
But while you're on it, I'm going to jump in here because we have a question from Siobhan. So go for it.
Oh, I haven't seen her in eons. How do you read a poem if one had an accident in the hand? How perfect has a result of surgery? I speak for myself. That's absolutely fine, because anytime you get a scar, anytime you, like, even if you had a carpal tunnel surgery or something, and how it leaves a huge scar or anything like that, that's 100% actually a good thing, because anytime you have a mole, wart, paper cut, burn, anything really, like, even tragic, Siobhan, like what you had happen to you, where the scars are and how those fingers look and how the hand itself looks, where those situations, they're called, show up on the hand, because the whole surface of the hand stands for different events and different parts of what makes you you. You can then identify, depending upon how it looks, where you are heading and what you need to look out for, so to speak, when it, how you feel about yourself and the people around you, what's going on around you. So 100%, even though you had to have that finger sewn on, that I'm curious now which finger it was, to be honest with you. I'm curious now which finger it was. Because
Siobhan, send a picture in the next show and we'll make sure that we do it then.
No, Richard.
Yes. I want to put this question up by Linda. You've had your plug-in, or you had your show last night. Get off.
You poor thing.
This is tiny abuse. But we've got a comment here from Linda. She goes, I grew up with my dad, who was a narcissist father. As an adult myself, I'm the complete opposite. Do you think I'm trying to overcompensate that now that I've realised this?
Is that for me?
For any of you?
Yeah.
Well, let me just read it again. Grew up with my dad, who's a narcissistic father. As an adult myself, I'm the complete opposite. Yeah, so having a narcissistic parent doesn't make you a narcissist. That's pretty much that. It can make you codependent for sure. But if you're born with empathy, you'll always have empathy. You know, if you believe in incarnation and reincarnation, and like, if you're an old soul, you know, you've been around the block a few times, then you know you'll have empathy. Generally, is how I see it. And I've got this diabolically stiff but sort of black and white view of it. That let's say people with narcissists just haven't got souls. You know, that kind of stands up, doesn't it, when you remember them and view them. But it doesn't mean just because you're in the opposition, and that's obviously a good thing, but the opposite of a narcissist is codependent. And then the overcompensation, that is that codependent space. And to be honest, what you've got to do is do something for yourself every now and then generate that habitually to look after yourself and not give out so much to others. Which comment is that kind of what you do? Do you give out too much to others and never kind of look after oneself? Because that's probably the overcompensation. So yes, you probably are trying to overcompensate because you've seen the worst side of it. Sorry you had to go through that, as a child. That's a lot of people I've spoken with around the world and the likes. It's heartbreaking. The last thing you ever expect is for your parent to let you down. In that sense.
Neil, may I ask a question of you?
Absolutely. I hope I can do it justice.
So what are your feelings on ancestral trauma?
Oh, sure. Ancestral trauma. Okay, so it depends.
Especially when it comes to what Linda is talking about, the narcissistic father and everything.
Yeah, sure. Okay. So I sort of developed this rough rule of three, if you like. So I don't mind stating this here on this here channel. The rule of three in terms of my own family line. Okay, so my mother is still alive, very healthy, wonderful. Reasonably good mum, considering she was abused by her grandfather, right? So her mum's dad. Okay, so my nan then, she had a twin brother and another sister, slightly younger. And I spent last year or so sort of slipping it into conversation with my mum that, if you were abused, chances are your mum was also abused when she was a child. If it's by the same man, her father, her granddad, and the likes. And then something curious happened. I saw the family line going down. So they've got three. This is quite a long waffle, so it takes a second to explain. So I've got my nan, her brother. All these people are dead now, passed away. So my nan was very narcissistic. Her brother was very empathy laden, and her sister, who generally got the brunt of all the abuse from their father, because my nan had a big old twin brother to protect her all her life, turned out to be the worst covert narcissist one could imagine. That great auntie had 3 children, 3 boys. One's a narcissist, one's got empathy, one's codependent. One of the 3 boys had 3 girls, one's a narcissist, one's codependent, one's, so there are ancestral connections. But what I think is more important about them, and one of the conflations I see, and I mean with word and the right and anything else, is how there's a massive cohort of people around the world, and I think it's partly because of the connectivity we see us with, the connectivity of the planet now, internet of things and all that sort of malarkey. But even so, spiritually, there's a great cohort of people waking up and severing those ancestral traumatic bonds, because they're living through it now and seeing it and understanding it and being able to step out of it. So in the example there from Linda, so your father was a narcissist, and you're now going through the motions thinking, well, I must have overcompensated. I must be overcompensating. Is that what I'm doing? And you're working it out. You're going on that journey, and you're not alone. There are millions of people across the planet going through the same thing as we speak. And I think, and tying into the girls' work as well, Rachel and Helen's, like anything that you consider helpful on your journey, whether that's finding a priest, having channeled chemistry from nature, or you did almost comical narcissism, which is kind of the thing I do, then the whole process, you stitching it together, you'll be stitched together. So it doesn't matter, Linda, whether we think you've overcompensated. And the point of being in that codependent space is what truly matters is what you think and how you judge yourself. Because at the end of the day, what I teach a lot of people is that it's only you that can judge yourself, really. But we let others do it, and that's where we generally come unstuck. So yeah, stop overcompensating, Linda. Jeez, love a little less, woman, for crying out loud. Next. When I grew up, my dad said, nobody better than you, you are no better than anyone else. I've learned not to take things personally. I put down is only that one person's opinion. Mary Cock. Yeah. Stephen Fry said it best, didn't he? He's offended. So what? Being offended really got nothing to do with any conversation. Somebody saying to you, if you're having a conversation with them, oh, I'm really offended by that, is them really scrabbling to try to take hold of you and that conversation through fear of offence. You know, so if anyone tells you they're offended by stuff, you know, that nobody's better than you and you're no better than anyone else, and learning not to take things personally, you're right. It is just that one person's opinion. And rising through that is actually, going back a step, is grey rocking. That's what grey rocking is. Not take.
Dr. Zeus also had a great one on that, a great quote on that. I just can't, my dyslexic brain doesn't help that.
It'll come to you. It'll come to you.
It's a really great one, Dr. Zeus.
Yeah.
Phenomena.
Right.
Phenomena.
We're very close to the end, everybody. So if you've got any last questions, by all means, please let us know. But in the meantime, while we're waiting, I'm going to do some plug-in for some upcoming shows. So not that one yet. This one.
Great intro, by the way, Richard. Your intro is amazing to this show.
Thank you very much.
Loved it.
Yeah, I love that.
Very cool.
So
well done, Richard.
Tomorrow night we have where's the mute button on this machine right now? We have the lovely Mandy Paul, who's here tomorrow at 8 o'clock to do a demonstration of mediumship. Tomorrow, no, it's not. Yeah, that's tomorrow night, 8 o'clock. Sunday, we have the Divine Service at 11 o'clock, and I can't remember who it is, but I believe the person's actually in the church. I think I'm getting Pauline Walsh. The Divine has told me it's Pauline Walsh. But on Sunday evening, we have a VIP special with Wendy, Jack, and her fledglings. So that is what's coming on. But that means, which I put up first, which I should have put on last, we have on the 19th, no it's not, Richard, think, Saturday the 11th of June. I can see.
I'll be there.
Yeah,
on the 9th.
Helen's going to be there as well. So on.
Oh, you're there. You're there.
Saturday, they can hear you, by the way, at home.
I know. Sorry.
That's okay. We have our holistic fair with free workshops, talks, and we also have a mediumship demonstration. So that's Saturday 11th of June. There's a lot coming on. We also have, which I've secured today, a bouncy castle for the kiddies. So if you're bringing any kiddos along, we're going to have a bouncy castle outside, and we've also arranged some face painting as well. So if you've got kids and you want to say, oh, I've got to look after them, bring them along. This is the trick.
This is the 11th.
This is the 11th, yeah. The trick is this.
Nice.
Bring the partner or the husband or whatever along. They look after the kids on the bouncy castle and having their face painting while you're having a reading or buying some products. Sorted.
Yes.
I might be there as well, and I'm a trauma medic, so your kids will be quite safe on that castle.
Yeah, but I think, Neil, you probably be the face painting. I can foresee it already.
It's definitely safer.
Yeah. Unless you're allergic to the products. Right, let's have a look if we've got any more comments. Everybody's saying thank you, but Oh,
Oh, thank you all for putting up with me. I could just, and I'm sorry, I do go on a bit. It's passion.
are you done? Can I carry on now?
Yeah, sorry. I thought we still having a
Sure.
conversation.
No, don't apologise.
Richard.
Don't apologise. Neil, as I said to you at the beginning, I'm very cheeky. I like to have a little
No,
giggle. So,
fine,
but no,
fine.
you're fine. So Linda is saying thanks for a great show, and so has Claire. If you guys want Neil to come back and present around the table without me and just Neil and his guests, then just say yes.
No, you need to be there, Richard.
Oh no, because I just take the mickey all night. I do
Well, I
the
think that's a
producer
good thing,
side.
right?
You know.
Okay,
Yeah.
Okay.
And so we got Claire saying thank you for a great show. Mary Dixie, our lovely Mary, saying interesting evening.
Oh, most welcome.
Terry's saying that she leave the kids at home and she go on the bouncy castle herself. Absolutely.
Terry, I'm with you.
Mhm.
There should be adults only evening with
Yeah.
bouncy castles. You know what I mean?
Oh, no.
That'd be good.
Wow.
We got Kelly saying she loved the show. Brilliant.
Oh,
Mary
thank you,
saying it.
Kelly. Very kind of you.
So if you guys want to plug yourself, so Neil, how can people get hold of you?
You can just run after me down the street and grab me. Don't do that. No, I'm just kidding. You can find me on Quora. This is the writing space, or Anchor, which is my podcast, which is Narsole the Lonely Monster. The Quora space is generally people asking questions and getting answers. It's all done quite cathartically, thesis-wise. There's long-winded stuff in there often. So
give Richard your email as well. So you can contact you. If they want to do it.
yeah. Shall I give you that email now or offline, Richard?
No, it's on the screen now where they can contact you. Yeah. So
Oh, happy to take.
Yeah.
There you go. Yeah. So if there's anything I can do, I mean, I do all this for there's no cost involved, nothing like that. My only intention in life is to get big tech to actually pay for people's recovery from narcissistic abuse, because they proliferate it.
Yeah.
Anyway, thank you for having me on the show, Richard. It's been a real pleasure.
it's been lovely. Sorry that it is short because I wasn't
No,
be here all night.
Just
but
right.
No doubt that we'll have you back because people are saying yes.
Oh, very
Yeah,
blessed. Thank you,
yeah.
everyone. Cheers.
And Helen, how can people get hold of you?
If they go on to sacredofferingart.co.uk and contact me through the website.
We definitely have to get you back on the channel for a Wednesday night or a night when you're available, so that everybody can see
Yeah.
your lovely art and not just for the VIP. So this is what you missed out if you're not a VIP, you missed a wonderful evening of readings and art with Helen. So go and see her at Helen Rogerson Art on Facebook. Okay, and lastly, we got the troublemaker.
Oh, you've been amazing, Rachel.
Phenomenal.
Thanks for steering us, Rachel. Cheers.
No, just look up Rachel G. Palmistry. You're gonna find me somewhere. You will. You'll find me. TikTok, Facebook, all the platforms, and you might find me on a place called Spiritual Psychics TV. I don't know,
I wouldn't watch
sptv.uk.
that. I wouldn't watch that.
Well, that sounds like a proper cowboy outfit. What's that?
Oh!
It's cheekier than you, Richard. You met your cheeky partner.
You'll have me back.
I
You'll have
didn't
me back.
say it. I
You'll
didn't
find
do
the mute
it.
button next time.
I didn't do it.
Alison is saying about bringing on for the Monday brunch anyway, so there you go, Neil. The munch. Alison co-hosts or hosts the Monday brunch.
All right. Hi, Alison.
Yeah,
Yeah,
so-
no, that'd be an honour to come on that. Yeah,
Yeah.
cool.
And
Let me know.
And I'm guessing that was also for Helen as well. I'm guessing.
Oh, lovely.
Yeah.
Thank
And
you.
Mary's saying she hopes to get her palm read. Well, all I can say, Mary, is book Rachel privately on a
I'm going
one-to-one.
to. I'm definitely going to. I already looked at you. Looked you up online, Rachel.
Oh, really? Okay.
You've got it nailed. All that stuff.
got a
So I'm
stalker
Oh,
really
now.
proud of
thank
it.
you. Thank
Yeah,
you.
I'll be
Neil.
booking. I'll
Thank
be
you.
booking.
Yeah, me too. I'm going
Definitely.
Thank you.
I've only done my
Thank you.
clubs.
Don't forget,
The rest
if
of my hat.
if you are a VIP
Thank
member,
you,
you
everyone.
get
Thank you.
£5 off or $5 in
Yeah.
Rachel's case.
Mhm.
Yeah,
Yeah.
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 Oh,
So there you go. So all it is for me is to say thank you for everybody at home who's watched the show, and hopefully that your questions were answered and it's given you a bit more of an insight of the Richard and Guests Around the Table is what it's going to be. We had this running last year, and we had a break because I don't like doing shows all the time, because otherwise I do my fake readings and then I am the world's best fake reader out there. That's all I can say.
Not a fake reader. We
It's
talked
my
about
ego.
this.
It's my ego. I gotta brush my ego.
Look at you made me do. You made me snort.
Oh no! You made Rachel snort, you bad man. Rachel.
Oh, dear. I got tears.
Oh,
Dear. Just imagine if Deb Clark was on here as well.
Amazing.
God, it'd be funny.
no.
Bless her. I'm seeing her tomorrow as well. I'll be
Oh.
going to Lawrence in the Paul Christian Spiritualist Church. Are holding a wonderful psychic supper there, and the lovely Deb Clark's going to be there, Andy Ford and our lovely Sarah Warman going to be there. I'm pretty sure there's some seats left. It's only £16. The money's going to the church. You get a lovely lunch and readings and stuff. So if you're near the area, just go along to their Facebook page or website and see them. And I will be there as well. So you actually get to meet me in person.
Nice.
So when you do, you can run. You know? So all I'm saying now, everybody, is thank you very much for this show. Thank you to my guests. And we will see you all very soon. Bye, everybody.
Goodbye, everyone. Thank you.
Bye.